Health Pioneers presents. Does my pelvis shape have anything to do with fertility or birth? If you are new to this channel, hit the notification bell and turn on the notification bell for more relevant health topics. Women's pelvises are no exception. That's right, your roommate's pelvis might be different than yours. Turns out, there are 4 types of pelvic structures. Do you know yours? A gynecologist determines a client's pelvis type during a procedure known as a pelvimetry, a fancy word for pelvic exam. As part of a pelvimetry, a medical professional may measure your pelvic bones to determine your type. But does your pelvis type actually matter? Or is it just as relevant as what type of sandwich you are? We pulled together some fun and fascinating facts on pelvis types, and the pelvis in general, to learn how they influence your health in regards to fertility, pregnancy, and birth, if at all. A quick pelvis primer. This bony structure is located at the base of your spine between the abdomen and thighs. Your legs are attached to your pelvis. The sacrum, a triangular bone at the base of the spine, coccyx, tailbone, the left and right coxal, hip bones, pubic bone, and ischial spines, the most narrow parts of the pelvis, are what primarily make up this body part. However, as with most parts of the body, there are many nooks and crannies. Some types are more common than others. About 50% of Caucasian women have a gynecoid pelvis, which is round in diameter, while about half of all African American women have an anthropoid pelvis. Anthropoid pelvises are oval-shaped, they're oval at the inlet and roomy front to back. Then, there's the heart-shaped or android pelvis, yep, just like the phone. About 25% of women have this type. Lastly, just 5% of women have a platypaloid pelvis, which is oval and has a wide pubic arch. Today, however, there's new evidence suggesting most women actually share a mix of these 4 types. In 2015, the study's authors wrote, "Until more data is collected to confirm or deny the statistical significance of this shape variation, it is recommended that teachers and authors of midwifery, obstetrics and gynecological texts be more cautious about continuing to promote the Caldwell-Malloy classification, as our results show no support for the long-taught 4 types of pelvis." Does my pelvis shape have anything to do with fertility or birth? However, the pelvis absolutely plays a role in birth. In vaginal deliveries, the baby must descend and rotate through the pelvis in order to enter the big, bright world. Therefore, it's totally natural to wonder if the type of pelvis you have will influence your birth experience. If you have a certain pelvis shape, does this mean you're more likely to have a cesarean section? All pelvis types can allow for spontaneous vaginal birth. Birth involves more than the hard bones of the pelvis. Ligaments and joints come into play, as well as the mother's attitude toward birth, the size of the baby, and the position of the baby. In addition to her work as a midwife, Carola teaches prenatal yoga and enjoys providing mothers with information on movements that can help get the baby into an ideal position to descend and rotate through the pelvis. The pelvic bones are still relevant to birth because they can influence the way the baby must rotate and descend through the pelvis. The pelvic bones that affect the baby's rotation and delivery are the pubic bone in the front, the distance between the pubic bone and the sacrum, and the width of the ischial spines, the most narrow part of the pelvis. These measurements are what correlate to the type of pelvis a woman has. At the end of the day, let your doc worry about your pelvis. Practitioners should have a sense of a woman's pelvic structure and be knowledgeable in guiding a woman in labor to best assist the rotation of the baby for birth, says Carola. However, I do not feel that this should be the mother's concern, and if she trusts her instincts and her care provider, she is better able to surrender to the natural process of labor. In other words, don't worry too much about what type of pelvis you have or how it's shaped. Unless, of course, you're a total reproductive health nerd like us and want to ask your doc for fun, which we totally support. Pelvimetry, anyone? After all, it's common to be inundated with tons of other worries during the fertility and birth process. Your pelvis, fortunately, doesn't have to be one of them. It's perfect just the way it is.